Okay. We will connect now to the. Yeah. Um, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you also hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and we are grateful to you for inviting us. And then it is a great pleasure to meet you all. Not unfortunately, we could not meet you physically, but of course through Zoom. And both Dr. Sunita Das and Sima Gupta have added a lot on the plankton. We have nothing to add more. So a lot of information has already been said about the ecology, role, and other aspects of the plankton. So I only take up a few aspects that like the relevant for this. A lot of information has already been said about the ecology, role, and other aspects of. I don't know, something is. So, I will take up a few aspects that like the nothing to add more. Relevant for this. Okay, is something is reverberating now? It's okay.
Now it's okay, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Something.
And the top has got two important point aspects. Number one is the basic biology of rotifers, cladocerans, and copepods. The part of the crustaceans, the cladocerans and copepods, Dr. Nandini will add. I will speak about the some elementary aspects of the biology of rotifera. In the next talk, application of rotifers in ecotoxicology, and final talk is the indicator value of rotifers. So the first topic in this one is the biology, the basic aspects of rotifera. It is a joint presentation together with Dr. Nandini. In this aspect, I'm not going to deal with many details considering the time available and also the scope of the conference. Here I'm going to take up only the biological and some ecological aspects of rotifera. First of all, as you all know, any water body, anywhere in the world, freshwater body, you just filter, you will find three major groups of organisms: ciliates, rotifers, and crustaceans. Among the crustaceans, you have more commonly in the planktonic life, the cladocerans and copepods. You also have ostracods and other organisms, but they are generally typically not planktonic. They are associated with either benthos or associated with macrophytes. So by definition, we know that rotifers are bilateral. They have bilateral symmetry in the sense that you split the animal into the right part, left part. The right part of the body is similar to the left part. That is what we call bilateral symmetry. And they have pseudocoelomate characteristic. There is a gap between alimentary canal and the body wall, and this gap comes from the blastula. In other words, blastocele is continued till today, till the adult stage. That is why they are called pseudocoelomates based on the classification. And based on the molecular analysis, we now know the rotifers are very closely related to the phylum Acanthocephala. Although all Acanthocephala are 100% parasitic, based on the DNA analysis, we now know that they are closely related. And international conferences on both rotifers and Acanthocephala consider that to be united, but there is still some lack of understanding, or some features have not been taken into account. Some biological features of both groups have not been taken into account in both groups. So that is the reason why they are still treated as separate. So it is up to the researchers to use them as a single phylum or separate phylum. Some of the characteristic features of rotifers is the presence of anterior corona structure. This is useful for swimming, for collecting the food, and these cilia have both mechano and chemoreception properties. They can detect the quality of the particle, and then if it is contaminated, they can reject it. This is useful also for swimming. And another important part is the presence of mastocs or the trophi, which you use to cut the vegetables, capture the prey, so on. And this is the unique characteristic of rotifers. Only females have, in some cases males too, but most of the males do not have this structure. Only females have. The word trophy you also hear in insects. However, in case of the insects, the, uh, the origin of trophy is different. In this case, in the case of rotifers, is actually modified into trophy. Another feature that also is common with the nematodes is the constant number of cells and nuclei. Since most of the organs of the rotifers in cell state, the plasma membrane between in each tissue between the cells is no more visible. Therefore, we identify the number of cells as the number of nuclei, and the consistency of number of nuclei because of this capacity of regeneration. In other words, they cannot reproduce. A part is cut and it cannot be regenerated again. So because they are primitive, they have respiratory and circulatory systems. And the body size is very small, usually 40 microns all the way to 2.5 millimeter. And most rotifers, you cannot see them without the help of microscope because of the small size. Their usual average size is less than 1 millimeter, which you cannot see with the naked eye. And they also have greater diversity in fresh waters. Marine waters, about 200 species are there, but usually they are difficult to identify and mix with many other marine plankton, especially the copiopods and so. They feed on like many other organisms, the animals in the aquatic system, alga, bacteria, detritus. Some of them are predatory. They feed among themselves or they feed on other organisms too. One of the important characteristic is the classification, which is used for the classification is the structure of the trophy. There are 9 different trophy. There is no specific name for the trophy, but they are attributed to the genus that has this kind of trophy structure. There are Notomatidae, Dichronophorus, Asplankana, Euclanus, and so on. So there are 9 different structures. Debochamp in 1905 and so up to 1915 utilized this for the classification because of the difficulty to utilize this characteristic for the classification of the species. This is no more used. However, in the live individuals, you can see these different types of the trophy. There's one genus of Quiplophagus that is a predatory and it has no cilia. This is only one exception. It feeds on other organisms, usually other rotifers. Characteristically, the trophy is important for the classification and for identification of the species in different levels.